The biker gang roared down the quiet street, engines growling, leather jackets gleaming. But as they slowed near an alley, one of them noticed a little girl standing by the curb, clutching a cardboard sign that read, "Duke, good dog, $50 or best offer." Beside her sat a German shepherd, wagging his tail weakly, his ribs showing. The girl's voice trembled as she looked up at the biker. "Please, sir, will you buy him? Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The biker froze, his hand tightening on the handlebars. "Where's your mom, kid?" he asked softly. What she said next made his blood run cold. And by the end of that day, every biker in the gang would be on a mission that changed their lives forever. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Engines rumbled down the quiet road as the Hellhawks, a group of hardened bikers, rolled into town. Their leader, Jack Ryder Dawson, had seen every kind of trouble life could throw, but nothing prepared him for what he was about to witness. Outside a small gas station, a little girl stood alone on the sidewalk, clutching a piece of torn cardboard. The sign read, "Duke, good dog, $50 or best offer." Beside her sat a thin German shepherd, his eyes full of loyalty and hunger. Jack slowed his bike, frowning. "What's a kid doing out here like that?" he muttered. He dismounted and approached slowly. The girl looked up, startled, but brave. "You selling your dog, sweetheart?" he asked. Her voice shook. "Yes, sir. I don't want to, but Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The crew went silent. Even the loudest engines couldn't hide the lump in their throats. Jack crouched down, extending his hand to Duke. The dog placed his paw gently in it as if asking for help. Jack looked back at his men. "Boy," he said quietly, his voice rough, "we're not leaving until we figure out what's going on here." And that's where everything changed. Jack knelt beside the little girl, his rough hands softening as he looked into her tired eyes. "What's your name, sweetheart?" he asked. "Emma," she whispered, brushing dirt from her cheek. "And this is Duke. He's a good dog." Duke wagged his tail weakly, pressing close to her side, as if he understood every word. Jack nodded slowly. "Emma, why are you out here trying to sell your dog?" Her voice trembled. "Mommy's sick. We live in our car now. She hasn't eaten in 2 days, and I thought if I sell Duke, maybe she can have food." The men around Jack fell silent. Big tattooed bikers who'd seen fights, wars, and prison. Yet, this little girl's words hit harder than anything. One of the men swallowed hard. "Kid, you don't got to sell your dog," he said softly. Emma shook her head. "Mommy says good people always find a way. Maybe you're good people." Jack felt his throat tighten. He looked at Duke again, loyal, calm, trusting, and then at Emma. "All right," Jack said, finally standing up. "We're going to find your mom." Emma's eyes widened. "You'll really help?" Jack nodded, starting his bike. "Yeah, sweetheart. Nobody should have to sell their best friend to survive." And with that, the Hellhawks had a new mission, one that would change everything. The sun dipped low as the Hellhawks followed Emma through the outskirts of town, their roaring engines echoing off empty streets. She guided them to an abandoned parking lot on the edge of a junkyard. In the corner sat an old rusted car with shattered windows and a blanket covering the back seat. "That's where we live," Emma said, softly, pointing. Jack killed the engine, his heart twisting. He approached the car and peered inside. A frail woman lay curled up, her face pale, her lips dry. "Mommy, wake up," Emma whispered, tugging her sleeve. The woman's eyes fluttered open, fear flashing across them when she saw the bikers. "Please," she croaked. "We don't have anything left to steal." Jack knelt beside her, his tone gentle. "We're not here to take. We're here to help." The woman's name was Maria. She'd been surviving on water for days after losing her job, her husband's insurance money, stolen by his corrupt boss after his fatal accident. "I begged him to pay what he owed us," she said weakly. He laughed and said, "People like us don't matter." Jack's eyes darkened. "What's his name?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, then whispered, "Victor Crane." The name hit Jack like a punch to the chest. He stood slowly, his jaw tight. "Boys," he said, voice low with anger. "I know that name." The crew exchanged grim looks. This wasn't just charity anymore. It was justice. That night, the Hellhawks garage buzzed with energy. The air smelled of oil and anger. As Jack paced between the rows of bikes, his fists clenched, the name Victor Crane kept echoing in his head. Years ago, Crane had crushed Jack's construction business, framing him for theft to win a lucrative contract. Jack had lost everything, his house, his job, his dignity. Now Crane had destroyed another family's life. Jack looked at his men. "Crane's been taking from the weak for too long," he said. "Tonight we take something back." The crew revved their engines, black leather glinting under the flickering lights. They tore through the streets, thunder rolling with every turn until they reached Crane's glass mansion at the top of the hill. Guards rushed out, shouting, but the Hellhawks moved like a storm, swift, unstoppable. Within minutes, Jack stood inside Crane's luxurious office, the billionaire's smug grin fading fast. "You think you can scare me, Dawson?" Crane sneered. Jack dropped a folder onto the desk. Photos, documents, proof of unpaid wages and fraud. "You don't scare easy, huh?" Jack said quietly. "Good. Then you'll feel this, amore." He leaned in close. "You stole from a child's father. Now I'm here to collect." Crane's smirk vanished. Justice had finally found him. The morning sun broke through the clouds as the roar of motorcycles echoed once again through the quiet streets. Jack parked his bike near the abandoned car where Emma sat, petting Duke, her small hands shaking from the cold. When she saw him, her eyes lit up. "You came back," she said, running to him. Jack smiled faintly and handed her a small envelope. "This is for your mom." Emma tilted her head. "What is it?" Jack crouched beside her. "Something your dad worked hard for and something a bad man tried to keep." Inside the envelope were thick stacks of bills and official documents, her father's stolen wages, and a deed for a small apartment nearby. Maria gasped when she saw them. How did you? Jack shook his head. Don't worry about that, ma'am. Just promise me you'll start over. Duke barked happily as the crew unloaded groceries and blankets from their bikes. Emma threw her arms around Jack's neck. Thank you, Mr. Jack. He smiled, his tough voice cracking just a little. You don't thank people for doing what's right, sweetheart. For the first time in years, Jack felt something he hadn't known he'd lost. Peace. Weeks later, a local news station aired a headline that spread across the internet like wildfire. Biker gang rescues homeless mother and daughter, brings corrupt businessman to justice. The story showed photos of Emma and her mother smiling in front of their new apartment. Duke sitting proudly beside them, tail wagging. Reporters tried to find Jack and the Hellhawks, but the crew stayed silent, refusing interviews. We didn't do it for attention, Jack said quietly to one journalist who caught him at a diner. We did it because no one else would. That night, the crew gathered at the garage. Duke bounded in through the open door, barking playfully before jumping into Jack's lap. Looks like we made a friend. For life, one of the bikers laughed. Jack smiled. Nah, he said softly, rubbing the dog's head. He's got his family now. A few days later, Jack received a letter written in a child's handwriting. It read, Dear Mr. Jack, Mommy and I are safe. Duke is happy. Someday I want to help people too, just like you. Jack folded the letter and slipped it into his jacket pocket. As the Hellhawks roared into the sunset, his voice echoed in narration. You can't fix the whole world, but sometimes saving one family is enough to save